Hello, I'm Kurt, and welcome to another FishDuck one-on-one video podcast. This week, we're speaking with George Wrighster, who came to Oregon in 1999, the next in a long legacy of great tight ends at the University of Oregon. After a redshirt year and 3 very productive seasons at Oregon, including being named second team All Pac-10 in 2002, George declared for the NFL draft and played 7 years in the NFL and 1 year in the UFL. Now he's gone from scoring touchdowns to slinging pastries as owner of Violet's Cakes in Pasadena, California. Hey George, how's it going?
It's going good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's wonderful to talk to you. We actually ran into each other at the Rose Bowl this past year. A great day to be an Oregon Duck. It's always good to be a Duck, but particularly that day.
I mean, anytime you win a BCS bowl game, it's a great day. Our Oregon fans are becoming spoiled in the sense of this is what they expect, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with that. When you look at all the rest of the top programs in the country, their goal is not just to go to a BCS game. It's to go to the national championship and win the national championship. And the fact that our fans have those expectations, that's a testament to where the program is now.
Absolutely. Well, that didn't happen overnight, too. That was built on a whole foundation
Yes.
that you played a role in, and we'll certainly get to that. But first I want to touch on how you ended up becoming a Duck, because you were coming out of Southern California, certainly growing up in USC and UCLA country. Those had to be, teams that you followed early on. So what made you decide to come north to Oregon?
Actually, I had no allegiance to USC or UCLA at all. I hated USC, and I didn't like UCLA because their colors were weak. But I did almost go to UCLA, though.
Okay.
But Coach I and Coach Campbell, they kept calling, and then they finally dropped off some information at school, and they got a hold of my parents one day, and they said, is George, did George bring home the information that we brought home? That we sent to him. And my dad said no. And so my dad told me, George, if you don't bring home this information, I'm taking the car. I was like, so I brought it home the next day because I wanted to go to Florida State.
Oh, okay.
But that's where I wanted to go. I didn't really watch a lot of college football when I was growing up, but I did watch Florida State. Oh man, I watched Charlie Ward and Dion and
Peter Warwick, and
so that's where I wanted to go. Nowhere else. And then I figured out how far away that was, and I came from a very close knit family, so that wasn't gonna work. And I was a basketball player in high school too. So when it came to scheduling trips, I scheduled my trips around my basketball season.
Okay.
And so I went to UCLA the week before signing day, and then the same weekend of signing day, because you always sign on a Wednesday, the first Wednesday in February. And the weekend before, I came to Oregon that weekend. But the weekend before, like I said, I went to UCLA, and Coach Toledo, he said, he told me, he said, George, well, we really want you to come here, but we don't want you to take your trip to Oregon. We might not have a scholarship for you if you don't come. And I was there with my parents, and when we left, I told him, I wasn't going to make a commitment until I took my trip. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, well, we might not have a scholarship for you, this and that. And we left, and my dad said, George, don't worry about that. No, we're just going to take our trip. You have plenty of other scholarship offers if that's how they want to do it. And then, but I was one of the top recruits in the country at my position, so it wasn't really like a big concern for me. Mm-hmm. And then I came up to Eugene, and that was when Oregon was. I didn't know anything about Oregon, and I just knew that they had these yellow helmets. And then that was the same year that we changed jerseys. Yep. And then that was the same year that we changed jerseys to the new style jerseys. And I went up there, and I remember I had such a great time on the trip. It wasn't so much that I had a great time on the trip. It just felt right. Mm-hmm. And I remember I got on the plane to go home with my parents, and I was kind of looking down. My parents said, George, what's wrong with you? I was like, I should go to Oregon. and and my parents were like, why do you look sad? I was like, I'm one of the top recruiters in the country. Like, why am I gonna go to Oregon? But come to find out, that's literally one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And I love the city of Eugene. I love the Ducks. I literally love the Ducks. And anybody who's on my Twitter or is anywhere around me, they know I rep the Ducks hard. Like,
yes, you do.
I'm obnoxiously pro Ducks. So if you don't want to hear anything pro Ducks and you don't want to hear, I mean, it's go Ducks and forget everybody else. So if you don't want to hear that, then don't follow me. And when I talk to my friends who play for other teams and who played in the Pac-10 and came to Alton, or played anywhere and came to Alton, they always say that Alton is the loudest, most ridiculous place they've ever played. I mean, that they love to play there because the crowd is so good, but it's uncomfortable because you can't hear snap count, and it's just so it's rough. But at the same time, like, when you're a competitor, that's the type of environment that you want to play in. You want to play in an environment where the fans are great and the crowd is hostile, and you want to shut them up. But the problem is we win too much to shut us up. See, just thinking about Eugene and my time there, because some people say that they had a great time in high school. High school was college was the greatest time. Oh my gosh, it was just so much fun. Just thinking about it and just talking about it, I'm smiling so hard that my cheeks are hurt.
Do you have a personal favorite game or a personal favorite play from your playing career?
My favorite play has to be, I had a rushing touchdown against. It might have been against Stanford. I had a rushing touchdown. That's one of my favorite plays because tight ends never get rushing touchdowns. One of the things that happened to me while I was at Oregon, which actually I think was the best thing that ever happened to me, even though it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, was when we played at Wisconsin in 2000. First game of the season. Joey threw me a ball in the end zone in Wisconsin. I don't remember who it was, but number 8, like, he PI'd me, knocked my head off, almost decapitated me in the back of the end zone, and then I didn't catch the ball, and I didn't get another ball thrown to me that whole entire season. We were at the Holiday Bowl. We had just beat Texas. And I was standing on the field in the Holiday Bowl, fireworks going off, and everybody was so happy. And I just looked around and I was like, I didn't catch one ball this whole entire season. I am not happy right now. This will never happen again. This will never, ever, ever happen again. I will never let this happen again. So that put me to work.
What I will always remember about you is the 2002 UCLA game. Haloti Ngata blocked an extra point and it ended 31-30, but you had this just amazing touchdown catch in the corner.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Where I still remember I ran a wheel route on that side, and then he threw the ball, and I still remember catching it. I still remember. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll say it's funny because so many people say that they remember that play. Like, it didn't seem that as spectacular to me as it seemed to everybody else. So that's not one of the more difficult things I remember.
That's something where, yeah, it may be routine for you, but it looks spectacular from the stands, and it's something that is one of the more memorable plays from a very epic game. But for you, it must have been great because you were essentially coming back home. You get to play in front of so many friends and family, right? Yeah.
That's always good when coming back to play UCLA and USC. So many people that are going to be watching the game. All the SC fans and all the UCLA fans, they're going to be sitting there watching, and you get to, and especially because we didn't really lose to them. I didn't lose to UCLA, I don't think. Yeah, so I had a very successful career.
At the end of that year, you decided to declare for the NFL draft. Now, I know that's a difficult decision because you're foregoing your senior year. You've fought with these guys for years, and you've gone through all the process, and this is now your senior year to shine. But at the same time, if there's an opportunity to go pro and be able to support your family, you have to weigh that. How difficult was it weighing whether to go pro or whether to stay for your senior year, in that you had redshirted, so you'd gone through 4 years of school.
It was very difficult. I had honestly, I had thought about it for a while. Yeah, I thought it was the best opportunity for me at that point in time. Probably the most difficult thing was that I found when I was younger, I moved around a lot. Well, like me and my family did, so I finally felt at home in Eugene. So it was really hard to leave Eugene and the city and the people. And Sammy Parker, he was my best friend and my roommate, so it was hard to leave Sammy too. And but like when the draft rolled around, I was anticipating going second round, and then I started getting calls at the end of the first, and then I didn't go to the 104th pick. I look at it like, okay, well, I came out, things worked out pretty good for me. I mean, I did go to Jacksonville, where I was a receiving tight end going to a place that only ran the ball, so that was kind of difficult. So I didn't necessarily have the type of pro career that I anticipated having or felt like I should have had. But at the same time, worked out for me 7 years, and I can't complain. And also, I would have to say that I look at it like, okay, well, I could have probably stayed. Like, what if I got hurt? What if I got in a car accident? What if, so like there's so many, when people look at things and they say, oh, well, what if you had stayed? You might have been a first round pick and this and that. Well, but then what if I had stayed and something bad happened? I'm blessed for the way that things turned out. And I still, I got a great opportunity, did well for myself in the league. Family's doing good. So I can't complain. And my team is doing well. The Ducks are doing well. Like, people don't understand how much pride that professionals take in their schools. Like, the players, like, it's weird because it's even more pride than you take in your own team in the league because like, you may get traded, you may get cut, you may get released, bad things may happen, good things may happen, but you'll always be where you went to school. You'll always be a Duck. Like, I'll always be a Duck.
After your 7 years in the NFL, then you also played 1 year in the UFL,
yep.
And then called it quits, came back home, and now you're running Violet's Cakes in Pasadena, and recently made a television appearance. Tell me all about that.
Yeah. According to my sister, Mr. Baker Man, our Violet Cakes. So we're a cupcakery at a bakery in Pasadena, California. We every day, on an everyday basis, we have cupcakes, but we make cakes also, for everything from a traditional cake to your one-of-a-kind 3D creation. Anything you can wrap your mind around, we can wrap into a cake. We actually made a cake for Oregon for winning the game. It's on our website. Recently, like you said, we were on Cupcake Wars. Me and my sister baking. That was very, very interesting. Yeah, and a lot of people got a lot of giggles. They're like, "What are you doing on there baking?" I'm like, "Man, I'm nice in the kitchen. I'm Chef Boyard George, man."
When next January comes around, there'll be Oregon fans descending upon the Rose Bowl once more, and we'll have to make sure that they all stop by Violet's Cakes.
No, that's not what I want. That's not. I mean, like, no, I don't want to be in the Rose Bowl. I'm trying to go to the national championship. It's the Orange Bowl this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get to Miami. So yeah, the goal is Miami, but we'll settle for Pasadena if it comes to that.
Are there any final thoughts or anything that you want to convey to the Oregon fans who still remember your days as a Duck?
Thank you guys so much for supporting me and my family, because there are so many Oregon fans that have met my family, my sisters, my parents, and everything. And when you see me, holla at me.
Well, and of course you can find George on Twitter, constantly talking about the Ducks.
Yep. Yeah. Find me on Twitter at George Wrighster, George WRIGHSTER, and and remember, like we said, find my bakery on Twitter, also at Violet's Cakes 1, and you can find us on Instagram. We are everywhere.
Fantastic. Well, next time I'm in Pasadena, I'll have to come by and get a cupcake. And George Wrighster, thank you so much for joining us on the FishDuck 101 podcast.